Good evening, everyone. Thank you so very much for joining Avenue 2 this Tuesday evening from a bright and sunny Philadelphia. I'm Josh Bush. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Avenue 2, and we are just thrilled to have you here with us this evening. We've got a fantastic group of panelists this evening that I'd love to introduce you all to. So just bear with me a quick second here. I need to go back to my sharing. Bear with me here. Where did my little, there we go. So joining me today is some esteemed colleagues and some of the absolute best panelists in the business. Debbie Bush, our founder and president, Jamo Ladd, who is our director of leisure sales, Christina O'Toole, Carissa Cummings, Kaylee Kirkpatrick, Charlotte French, and Jennifer Dooling are all going to be joining us this evening and speaking with us about travel reimagined. And so we're so excited to have them all with us this evening. And you all can't see my screen there. How about now? Yeah, okay, sorry. Technical difficulties, first time out of the gate. Great, so Debbie, Jamo, Christina, Carissa, Kaylee, Charlotte, and Jennifer, we're so excited to have them with us. But I also wanted to take the opportunity to talk about and show you kind of the breadth of the Avenue 2 travel team and where we are all located and are from. So if you take a look at kind of this United States map, you can see the red dots represent a handful of the Avenue 2 travel advisors and where they're located. And then we've got our little speaker buttons as to where our presenters are from today. So you're going to get a great perspective, one that isn't just Northeast centric, but one that caters kind of across the country, because what we're finding in this pandemic world is that we all have different filters and different tolerances, and the country is reacting very, very differently in the world today. And so this will be able to give a broader picture as to what our different regional offices and our different advisors are hearing in different parts of the country. But before we get started, I thought it was a really good opportunity to talk about Avenue 2 travel, and most importantly today, kind of as we're looking at this health crisis, why is it that we're in business, and what are the things that Avenue 2 is about? And so years ago, and even before we got into this, and I think that this is really kind of formulated from my personal travels, from my family's travels, from our advisors' travels. We all got together and we said, you know, why are we in this business? Well, it's a lot of fun. Oh, it's a way of making a living. But we really stopped and took a moment and we drilled down and we really tried to figure out what is our why and what's our reason for being, and what really is it about Avenue 2 that we wanted to do and we wanted to focus on. And so while some have a mission statement and others have a vision statement, we have our why statement. And at Avenue 2 Travel, we foster relationships around the globe. By exploring humanity, we become better people and better citizens of the world. And we believe that travel unites people. It makes us more tolerant. It exposes us to new cultures, new thoughts, new ideas, new ways of life. It gives us all understanding. And I think, again, whether it's looking at our current health predicament or just the feeling that everybody is having in the world today, this statement resonates more than it ever has. So what we have done is that we cater our services to discerning travelers who feel the same way that we do. We seek to work with those that will enjoy the journey, savor their surroundings, and appreciate the experience. And we understand that it's that experience that is paramount. And that's really what we try to deliver on a regular basis with you all and our clients, and as advisors, we're here to try to make sure that that experience, we get at not just where you want to go and what you want to do, but what's that feeling that you want to have when you get to that destination. And if we can help translate that romantic vision that you have in your head of that perfect vacation or that perfect journey or that perfect trip, and be able to execute that for you all, then our job is definitely been accomplished. So let's talk about kind of travel in this post-COVID world, if you would. I have had the luxury and the honor of serving on a number of different boards and in an advisory capacity. So whether it's for hotels or governments, Marriott, Accor, Hyatt, Avenue 2 has been blessed with an enormous amount of business, and in that we are great partners with many of the world's top travel suppliers. And so going into this, we all thought that 2020 was going to be an absolutely fantastic year. More so in that people, even if we were cautiously optimistic, and I think that we were in 2019, because a lot of people were saying we're going into an election year, we have not had a recession or a downturn in the economy in many, many years. How are you going to prepare as a business for that perspective? But we had so many forward bookings. So many of you all were very excited about travel in 2020. And we had lots of business that were on the books of work that we had done in 2019. And none of us could have imagined that everything would come to a complete and utter screeching halt. And then not just a screeching halt, but then a horrible beeping sound as the truck backed up and just reversed. That has been, I think, the difficulty for all of us is that our first priority at the beginning of this crisis was you. And we made sure that 100% of all of our clients traveling all over the globe, as restrictions and bans were put into place, we got every single one of you all home. Now, it might have taken a day or two, but we're very proud of the fact that while others were stranded in many different places, not being able to get through on phone lines or not even getting a response at all, that we were able to at least get all of our travelers home and then work on the next piece of the equation, which where refunds and money back and cancellations and shifting bookings forward and backward and sideward. But we've done all that, and we've kind of been able to stand there and stand with our clients. And we then went into this period of March and April that was just kind of crickets, very, very just quiet and very much a wait and see time period. And while we would have loved to, at that point in time, reached out to you all and have looked and started to figure out ways in which we could inspire travel and talk to you and say, hey, let's figure out a way out of quarantine. We heard from you all that you weren't ready to do that. And we did that through a number of surveys and personal conversations with our travelers. And what we found very quickly is that it was very easy to kind of look at our travelers in thirds. The first third were what I like to call our intrepids. These were the people that an hour in lockdown or quarantine was way too much, and they were ready to leave and hop on a plane. COVID be damned, they were going to travel no matter what, and see the world and take advantage of what was out there. We had another third that was more just kind of like, hey, let's sit on the fence a little bit. Let's kind of wait and see. And then we have another third that was, I'm concerned about my health and my family's health and the health and welfare of others around us. And therefore we need to make sure that there is a vaccine that is in place before we even start to think about doing some sort of trip or travel. And those results from that information, I think, we saw from many of our colleagues, from other supplier partners, all of that data pretty much has rung true. And so in this advisory capacity, in talking again with many suppliers, it's how do we, one, not just focus on those intrepid travelers, but how do we cater to the on the fence people, but also make sure that when the last third is ready to travel, that we are prepared for them. And so I would say that what isn't being covered in the media today is the thought and the level of effort and preparation that all travel companies are doing. Granted, we see the headlines of non-social distancing on airplanes. We'll actually hear from a couple of us who have flown recently, and they'll describe their experiences. I flew on an airplane last week, and there are very, very different experiences between the major carriers. But regardless of the actual mode of transportation, because a lot of you all are opting to drive, which is a perfect way to do kind of that social distancing. You've got everybody in the car and you're getting to that destination. But hotels and tour operators, and dare I might even say cruise lines, have bent over backwards to maintain a level of health standard that goes far above and beyond what we've ever been used to. They have partnered with the likes of Johns Hopkins and the Cleveland Clinic. Large policies going far beyond government and CDC regulations to make sure that the guest experience is none, if I couldn't come up with a better term, but very sterile, and almost to the expense of the experience of what you very well may be used to. Different hotels are going to do different things. And I think what that boils down to is you need an advisor more than ever, because we're going to know what those policies are, which hotels have partnered with which health organizations. When you go to a resort, I mean, you're going to expect that the restaurants are open, the spa is open, the pool's open. Well, maybe 50% of those things may be true. When you talk about a pool being open, is that pool now running only at 50% occupancy because they've taken out the majority of the chairs that are there? So yes, the pool might be open, but if the resort is full, then you might not be able to get a chair at the pool. So now more than ever, as far as knowing what each of those suppliers are doing, what their policies are, it is important that you're working with somebody that is your advocate, that knows that information inside and out, and we are definitely here to be able to help you with that. The one thing I would also say, though, is the new luxury of today is cleanliness. So many hotels are talking about, months ago, housekeeping would be kind of not seen and not heard. They would mainly come out in the middle of the night. Now you're going to have a person that is going to follow you from when you get out of the car and when you walk in. They're going to wipe down the doors. They're going to wipe down the desk. It might even be like, in some cases, checking in, going to the bank, and then there will be plexiglass between you and the person checking you in. But the one thing that I will tell you is that every single one of those hospitality professionals you come in contact with is going to be thankful that you are there. The World Travel and Tourism Council had statistics prior to COVID that said that 1 in 9 jobs worldwide was a hospitality job. According to their statistics, COVID has the ability to remove 200 million hospitality jobs. Many of our team is on furlough. It's because of programs such as unemployment and the PPP program and other government programs, is that we're actually still here and still working. And we'll talk a little bit. Debbie's going to talk in just a minute about how we're compensated, so you just have an idea of what it is that we're going through. But the one thing that I'll tell you that has been most amazing about Avenue 2 and our company going into this has been our team's resolve. When we've had to make very difficult decisions about people's jobs, their livelihoods, and they've all said, this ship isn't going down without a fight. This company is not going to go out of business. And they've all said that we're in it to win it because of that why statement. We all firmly believe that travel is a force for good, and we want to be able to help you make that happen. So thank you for joining us this evening. Again, I'm excited to share a lot of different perspectives with you. I wanted to just give you a kind of a brief overview of what's happening worldwide. Everybody is prepared and ready to welcome you back, and we're going to do it in a warm and welcoming manner, but we're going to do it in a safe and responsible manner. So with that, let me turn it over to Debbie. Debbie, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you all, and I'll leave it to you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Speaking on behalf of the whole team at Avenue 2 Travel, I want to thank you for the honor of being your travel advisors. We've appreciated all of your caring emails and phone calls asking how we are and letting us know that you care about us. Those words of encouragement have really kept us going. I think that Josh summed up pretty much what happened in terms of the progression of this crisis for us, in beginning with getting people home who were stranded, some in wonderful places and some in not such wonderful places, trying to get them home. Our air department has been absolute heroes to us in making sure that they keep track of all of the cancellation and waiver policies so that we can get people's money refunded from the airlines. Our advisors have been working both sides of the coin. The people who decided that they wanted to cancel themselves, as well as the people who were canceled because a tour operator or cruise line had to cancel when travel restrictions prevented them from allowing you to travel anymore. So we've been working as advocates on your behalf, trying to get those refunds back as quickly as possible. And still we're continuing to do that. Our cancellation horizon is still there for a little bit of time. When we weren't doing that, we were spending a lot of time watching travel videos and webinars so that we kept our skills and expertise up. We talked to our suppliers and friends from around the world so we get real on the ground understanding of what it was like in Italy and China, so that we understood what our friends were feeling and doing. And we pretty much kept the dream alive for all of our sakes in terms of having endless Zoom meetings with the staff so that we all just kept everyone buoyed up. I think it's important to say a few things that your travel advisor probably has not shared with you. And that is the fact that we're not paid until our clients travel. So we have lost the income that we had worked for 6 to 9 months, and we probably will lose the next 6 months. Most advisors who are working, or many advisors who are working, are doing so without pay. But we do that because, not only because of our why, but because we genuinely care about our clients. Travel's our passion, we're professionals, we're optimists, and we have just plain decided that we're going to make it through. So what can you do to help us? If you're thinking about going anywhere, please let us know. Our relationships and experience translate into a better experience for you than if you just book it online. And it can, if you allow us to make those small bookings and the large bookings, if you have them, whether it's a one-night hotel booking or a road trip, all of that goes to help us and keep us through this very low period of the business. We'd also like you to think about rebookings. There's a lot of people who canceled who have credit and are looking to rebook for next year, and it's not too early to start doing that so that we can get the best opportunities for you. So anyway, I guess the other thing I should say is that if every time we hear from you, it's a huge morale boost for us. Having clients traveling is what really makes us the happiest. So we look forward to hearing from you. We do know that not everyone is ready to travel, but there are some who are completely ready to travel, and we're excited to share some interesting information for you today about thinking about future travel. Our panelists today represent the whole Avenue 2 team. That's some 80 people from across the country and Europe. Obviously, we couldn't have every advisor on the panel, but please understand that we all support one another, and we hope to leverage the collective experience of the office to present this information to you. I can't say it more strongly though, your relationship with your particular advisor is paramount. And it's your advisor who knows you well. So we hope that you'll go back to them and reach out to them when you're ready to think about travel. Your advisor will be getting in touch with you after this presentation and just touching base and sending you a virtual resource guide with some helpful information and inspiration. So when you're ready, we're here. If you joined us today from the social media invitation and are looking for an advisor, please just reach out to us at info@avenue2travel.com. And we want you to join in the conversation. There is a chat button at the bottom of the screen, and you can just click on that and put your questions in there. We'll answer them later on. And now it's my pleasure to open the floor to the panelists. Jamo Ladd, our Director of Sales, will be asking general interest questions. Jamo?
All right. Thank you, Debbie, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join us. As Debbie said, my name is Jamo Ladd. I'm the Director of Sales here at Avenue 2 Travel. We know the decision of when you will feel comfortable traveling again is a personal decision. There is no universal answer we can provide that will satisfy everyone. The questions you may want answered about the current or future state of travel may not be as relevant to others. So I want to also stress the message Debbie said. Our team of advisors know you, our clients, and how to address your specific needs. The client-advisor relationship and our understanding of you is critical. It's a keystone of our collaborative approach to travel planning with our clients. We are travelers, and we are professionals here to guide you. Many of us have already started to travel again, so we can provide firsthand feedback to assist as we all navigate these uncertain times. Personally, I flew Delta last week from Philadelphia to the Gulf Coast through Atlanta. The airport experience from check-in to TSA to airport lounges to boarding have all changed slightly. The flight experience itself will also vary depending on airline. I'm happy to confirm that Delta's new care standard focused on cleanliness, more space, and safer service means that they are committed to only selling 50% of first class and 60% of the main cabin with no middle seats through the end of September. Note, however, masks or other PPE must be worn throughout the flight except for when eating or drinking. Other firsthand feedback about the current state of travel will be referenced by our advisors throughout the presentation. I was also tasked to quickly comment on the situation in Europe. Europe has traditionally been the #1 destination for us and for you, our clients, and we recognize many of you have questions about what's going on. Like so many other parts of the world, including the US, things are rapidly changing, and we receive updates daily. Within Europe, travel restrictions and requirements vary country by country and region by region. On June 15th, Europe started opening select borders within the EU and Schengen zone. On July 1st, external borders are scheduled to open for many of Europe's nations to allow foreign visitors. As of last Thursday, it appeared a handful of the most popular European destinations would be ready to greet us come July. That may no longer be the case. Just a few hours ago, the New York Times reported, based on their sources, that the EU is strongly considering barring American citizens' entry for now, grouping us with Russia, Brazil, China, Cuba, and other countries that have yet to effectively control the coronavirus outbreak within their own borders. We anticipate an announcement early next week that will unveil whether they decide to allow or ban us for the time being. If you are interested in returning to Europe, however, I encourage you to reach out to your advisor so we can provide you with the most up-to-date information you will need to know about the specific region of Europe you may wish to visit. Much is still undetermined. For example, when Americans can go, as I mentioned a moment ago, if COVID testing will be required on arrival or taken prior to travel, or if it will be required at all, quarantine procedures if applicable, etc. Lean on us, allow us to guide you through these ever-changing waters. This is the value you receive by working with a professional advisor from Avenue 2. While there is simply too much information for us to cover in the short time frame we have tonight, we'll briefly touch on many topics and cover a lot of information. Please don't worry. Each of you will receive an email from us that includes links and more information on all that we discussed for further review. You may anticipate receiving this resource packet within the next few days. So keep an eye on your email inbox. Be sure to engage your Avenue 2 travel advisor with any questions after the presentation. One quick reminder, there will be prizes randomly awarded at the conclusion of today's presentation. You must be present to win, so good luck to everyone on the call. I'd now like to take the time to begin the conversation with our incredible panelists we have lined up for you this evening. Without further delay, I'm happy to turn it over to our advisor, Christina O'Toole, based in Pittsburgh. Christina, I know you've traveled recently as well and have some great ideas on wellness trips. Could you take a moment to share a bit about your personal travel experiences and also to provide some thoughts on where our clients might escape for some socially distant wellness? Take it away.
Thank you, JMO. I'd love to. Good afternoon and good evening for those in different time zones, and thank you for joining our conversations as we begin to reimagine our future travel plans. I am so honored to be part of this dynamic panel of luxury travel advisors at Avenue 2 Travel. Josh, thank you. Debbie, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I would love to share some of my travel experiences during my COVID quarantine, along with some exciting wellness trips to imagine what a change of scenery and sense of well-being can do. As JMO said, the airlines and airports are all doing a very good job with COVID protocols. While Pittsburgh Airport may seem rather quiet, my American Airlines flight returning from Tampa on May 10th was completely full. Yes, I know traveling during COVID is going to be totally different type of experience, but if we all stay safe and responsible and continue to wear our mask, we will all just be fine. With all the stringent measures that the airlines have taken to keep planes safe and clean, I would not hesitate to jump on a plane and resume my love of travel. You can count on me to be one of the first travelers to Europe when the borders reopen. But I really want to focus on wellness trips. Absence has created desire. Travel is life's greatest pleasures. My quarantine has truly given me the time to look inward and focus on my own well-being and happiness. What a great opportunity to slow down the pace, take time for myself, and return to the great outdoors. Let's think of words and activities that end in ing: biking, hiking, yachting, walking, cooking, and the most important, wine tasting. I would like to highlight one of our luxury partners, Divine Cycling. Divine is an international cycling and adventure company offering luxury bicycle vacations in the world's most amazing places. Divine bike tours will not only refresh and enlighten your perception of the world, but connect you with people if you're traveling with family or even long-lost friends. From the majestic California redwoods, pedaling through a farmland in Vermont, tasting wine in the world-class vineyards of Napa and Sonoma, or an experience in farm-to-table renaissance in New York's Hudson Valley. A cycling vacation is the greatest way to connect with places you may never have found on your own. And cycling is for everyone. Each itinerary is designed to accommodate all types of riders, newcomers to avid riders, and everyone in between. You don't have to be an epic rider. E-bikes are always available and offered on most tours, and non-riders always welcome. When the time is right, imagine yourself biking in Tuscany through the olive groves and gorgeous landscapes, or pedaling past rows of cork trees in Portugal, or along the breathtaking Dalmatian coastline in Croatia. One thing is universal across these regions: the sense of hospitality, rooted in living well, and every traveler can appreciate. And don't forget picnics and alfresco dining experiences along the way. Let's turn the conversation now to resetting your lifestyle during COVID. Canyon Ranch Spas, a recognized leader in healthy living and luxury spa vacations, with spa locations offered on land and sea, with locations in Tucson, Arizona, Woodside, California, Lenox, Massachusetts, the Venetian Resort in Las Vegas, and the luxurious ocean liners at sea on Cunard Cruise Lines. Since 1979, Canyon Ranch has received countless awards and accolades for an innovative approach to health and fitness. and for the serene and relaxing spa environments to heal the soul. This past January, prior to the onset of the pandemic, I was organizing a wellness retreat in the Fall Canyon Ranch with Dr. Vonda Wright. Plans are in the works to reschedule that trip in 2021. In the meantime, you will be happy to know the Canyon Ranch Tucson is scheduled to reopen on July 15th. In closing, as we reimagine and ask why we travel, I'm confident we will all be making healthier and wiser travel choices, staying responsible, seeking destinations that allow for comfortable and social distancing, with the ability to gain a better insight into local cultures and lifestyles. Longer trips to lesser known towns with family and good friends will be the fashion, not only to educate, but inspire and rejuvenate our lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. I'd now like to introduce Kaylee Kirkpatrick, one of our advisors who splits her time between Aspen and Fort Worth. Kaylee, you traveled to Florida recently, and you've also had some insight into what it's like to fly now. You've been to beach resorts and theme parks with your daughter since this pandemic began. Can you share a little bit about your experience for us?
Absolutely. So good afternoon, and thank you to all of our clients and attendees for being here today. Thank you, Josh, Debbie, and JMO for having me. It's an honor to be on this panel of amazing advisors. I would love to share some information about my recent trip, and I think it makes sense to start with observations about my flight experience. In early June, I flew from DFW to Jacksonville and Orlando back to DFW. Keep in mind that all airport terminals will be a little different. DFW and Jacksonville seemed empty, but Orlando was busier. Mask wearing is required on all flights, but varies in the terminal based on the county. You probably will notice limited operations open in the airports for dining and shopping, but I found that there was enough to get the essentials. On American Airlines, beverage service, including alcoholic beverages, are offered in first class, but not in economy, where only bottled water is offered upon boarding. Currently, every airline is different regarding their policy on alcoholic beverages in flight. My family and I flew to North Florida in early June to start a week-long road trip of beaches and theme parks. I can't stress enough, things vary so much property to property, county to county, airline to airline. This is where your trusted advisor can shine in this market, helping match you with a property that fits your comfort level. For beach properties, I visited both the Ritz-Carlton Amelia Island and the Henderson in Destin. Both properties are taking many enhanced precautions for guest safety, and I found the beach is easy to social distance on. A few examples of different measures these properties are taking. Masks are worn by all employees, and guests are encouraged or required to wear a mask in common areas. They have enhanced cleaning of the rooms prior to arrival, and perhaps in some cases, less frequent housekeeping throughout the stay. Certain amenities may not be available or may be limited depending on the property, such as reservations being required for the gyms, limited services in the spas, kids clubs being closed, etc. I've also seen some amazing amenities being added, like outdoor movies and to-go picnics. Onto the theme parks there. So the last stop of my Florida road trip was a visit to the reopening of Universal Orlando on June 5th. And I plan to visit Walt Disney World and Disneyland later this summer. As a note, all the Disney parks around the world, including our US theme parks in Florida and California, will be open by July 17th. Universal has reopened very similarly to the way that they operated in the past, providing stage shows, distant character meet and greets, parades, their express pass skip the line system, and more. They have enhanced safety protocols by marking the parks everywhere to encourage social distancing. They have temperature screenings upon entry. Masks are required to be worn in the parks, and extra team members to frequently clean high contact places and offer hand sanitizer before entering each ride. From what we know about the Disney parks, we can expect the experience will be very different than previous experiences. Upon the initial reopening, there will not be parades, fireworks, character meet and greets, and there will be limited in-park dining. Masks and temperature screenings are required upon entering the parks, as well as advanced park reservations are required for entry. Disney rolled out their new park reservation system yesterday, and I was up at 4:50 a.m. to make reservations for my clients. I wrapped up the day by trying to make some magic for other clients who needed to move resorts because of the new changes. And after 8 hours and 17 minutes on hold, the call ended abruptly at 7 p.m. last night when I was disconnected and never finished the test. Hopefully I'll have better luck tomorrow. Again, with so many moving pieces and changing protocols with Disney, or if you simply don't want to wait on hold for 8 hours, call your trusted advisor. And for those worried about the new normal for the Disney parks, that it might be less than magical, Bob Chapek, who's the CEO of the Walt Disney Company, mentioned in a press release that the reason Disney delayed the reopening of their parks over a month after many other theme parks throughout the US is because they want to ensure to deliver a Disney experience that we all expect. I'm very anxious to see how it all plays out. Lastly, I just want to mention that I have an 8-year-old daughter who is spirited and very headstrong, to put it mildly. I know many parents are shy about the prospect of traveling on airplanes and hotels and in theme parks, etc., because of the necessity of face coverings. From my experience, my daughter was more tolerant of wearing a face covering on the plane and in the Florida heat than I was. She was simply so happy to visit the parks and have fun as a family. The mask was really a non-issue for her. Having a good portion of her school year via Zoom and without friends and with all the craziness in the world right now, it was so wonderful to experience a little bit of normalcy and happiness as a family, and I was elated to see my daughter have fun and just be a child for a few days.
Wow, thanks, Kaylee. What great insight into travel with children and the current climate of our industry. It's wonderful to hear that your daughter was able to enjoy herself despite the mandatory face coverings. I know that must be a huge relief to parents out there knowing that that's possible in many cases. Now that we've had a little overview of Florida, it's my pleasure to introduce our colleague Charlotte French to chime in with her thoughts on East Coast road trips, short domestic getaways, and that nature. Charlotte is one of our truly international advisors. Originally from the UK, she has also lived in South Africa and Ghana. She now resides in Wilmington, North Carolina. Charlotte, over to you.
Thanks very much, JMO, and good afternoon, everybody. So in the next few minutes, I'd like to share some encouraging news about traveling today. We all know that how and where we travel at the current time is quite different from the past as a result of COVID. But when you're ready, there's some amazing choices that your travel advisor can curate for you. Having traveled to over 70 countries when thinking about my next trip, it's usually about, well, what country do I want to go to next? And so I would encourage everyone to continue that dream. And when you're ready to start planning, contact your travel advisor. But in the short term, many of us who love to travel are ready for a break from our new normal, as it's so often referred to these days, but may not be ready to fly yet. Who isn't ready to pull out their luggage and pack for a trip? I know I am. And although for the time being, we have to look much closer to home to fulfill our hunger for travel, we have incredible choices on our own doorstep here in the US. As they are reopening, all of the hotels have COVID-19 protocols, doing their best to provide our guests with a safe environment, but one that still exudes the quality and luxury stay that we all enjoy. For example, the Inn at Little Washington in Virginia have added mannequins in the restaurant so you don't feel that your dining room is half empty. Chatham Bars in Cape Cod, which is a wonderful family destination, has incorporated changes to allow for physical distancing for guests. Wheatley, which is a stunning property in Lenox, Massachusetts, is only using their suite accommodations, limiting capacity to a very small number in order to provide a private sanctuary for their guests. Hidden Pond in Maine has converted their entire property to private accommodations. And at Troutbeck in New York, guests are requested to have a temperature check as part of the check-in process. But with several of the southeastern states seeing a less intense impact from COVID, some clients have been eager to start traveling a little earlier than others, looking for short domestic vacations that provide them with a relaxing and stress-free break while still being cautious about the risks. One example was a client who had to postpone their trip to South Africa in May. With 2 upcoming celebrations, anniversary and birthday, and having spent the past 3 months staying at home, as we all have, they were ready to get away for a short trip within driving distance later that month with friends. The destination of choice was Blackberry Farm, which is a 7.5-hour drive from Wilmington, North Carolina. But Blackberry Farm and Blackberry Mountain, which are properties that are run by the same company, are really 2 hidden gems nestled in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee that provide a very special place to relax and unwind. Imagine wide open spaces, mountain air, and the most delicious culinary experiences. Combined, the 2 properties have something for everyone: families with young children, honeymooners, couples, solo travelers, family reunions, or adventure seekers. There are numerous activities and excursions, including hiking, fly fishing, horseback riding. But one of the lesser known secrets of Blackberry Mountain is a troll called Leo the Enlightened. This isn't just any troll. He's 22 feet high and nearly as wide, and made from local reclaimed wood, and is only accessible to guests at Blackberry Farm and Blackberry Mountain. Imagine an amazing wellness experience with their wonderful spa, yoga, guided meditation, or just enjoying the rocking chairs and the view while reading a book or catching up with family or friends. But what I really wanted to share with you today is that these clients had an amazing time. They came back relaxed and refreshed and ready to rebook for the holidays. And it was so much fun for me as an advisor to actually have clients on the road again, because that's what makes us happiest. The Carolinas and Georgia offer some outstanding beach destinations that provide multiple accommodation options, from hotel suites to standalone private homes. Montage, Palmetto Bluff, the Cloisters, and the Lodge, all at Sea Island, all offer incredible beach vacation options and world-class golf courses for the golfers amongst you. Looking towards the Mid-Atlantic and New England, there are many options for a single stay in more secluded locations, to some great road trip options for those who are looking to explore new places. For example, imagine a culinary and musical journey from Kentucky to New Orleans, or a mountain route taking in the Poconos, Hudson Valley, the Berkshires, the Green and White Mountains, and Moosehead Lake, which offer stunning scenery, gourmet stops, and immersive cultural and historical experiences along the way. Who wouldn't enjoy a week or 2 in late summer in the cooler temperatures of New England, enjoying an amazing lobster roll from Chatham Pier Fish Market or the Clam Shack? We know everybody has their favorite. Or a road trip enjoying the incredible fall colors. Some states do continue to have travel restrictions, such as Maine, which currently requires those from out of state to self-isolate for 14 days. But as we've all mentioned, these are changing on a daily and even hourly basis. We're also hoping to see the Canadian border opening up sometime in July, which further extends the opportunities for some brilliant travel experiences. There continues to be a risk of change in opening status, and working with your travel advisor, they will be able to discuss all of these with you as you prepare for your trip.
Thank you, Charlotte. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Carissa Cummings, based in Orange County, California. Carissa has wonderful insight into tour operations given her background in the industry, but today we rely on her for her insight into current domestic travel trends. Carissa, with travelers looking to stay closer to home or explore road trip options while keeping socially distant, what are your thoughts on national parks and accessible destinations to those from the West Coast or those on the East Coast willing to fly across country?
Sure. So firstly, I'd just like to thank Avenue 2 again for organizing the event today and for including me, and more importantly, to our wonderful clients who have joined us from all across the country. So like Charlotte, over the last 10 years that I've been working as a travel advisor, the majority of my clients have really focused on more international travel rather than domestic travel, with the idea being that, well, we can always do that, but we may not always be able to go to blank, insert country of choice here. So, and being based in California, and many of my clients are out here as well, we've really started to explore the idea of what's possible to do this summer and into the fall from a travel standpoint. And as JMO mentioned at the beginning, while international travel is still very much up in the air, we do have so much in our backyards to explore. And just to sort of piggyback on what Charlotte was chatting about a moment ago from the East Coast standpoint, there are really some tremendous properties throughout the Western states that have already reopened and are welcoming guests back. Some of these include like Amangiri near Lake Powell, or the Lodge at Blue Sky outside of Salt Lake City, Post Ranch Inn in Big Sur, and Terranea just outside of Los Angeles, just to name a couple that have reopened and are already taking bookings for July. Many of these are great for a standalone stay over a long weekend, perhaps, or even upwards of a week due to the number of activities offered on site. And the majority of these properties already sort of fall into line with the social distancing aspect, just in the way that they're set up from an activity standpoint, from a dining standpoint, from a wellness and spa standpoint. So it's not too hard to, not too many modifications to kind of fit the current guidelines and recommendations. I did want to mention road trips. I'm glad you brought that up as well. As I've had several clients come to me not even realizing that road trips were something I could assist them with. It was for them something that they sort of just figured out as they went along, or even en route to their destination, figuring out where they'd stay the next night. And really the benefit of working with your advisor on this type of trip manifests in a few different ways. First and foremost, we are able to pull on our superb network of partners to secure unique and special accommodation along the way that may not even be on your radar. Not to mention dot the trip with private touring and experiences in a similar fashion to probably other trips that you've worked with your advisor on over the years throughout the rest of the world. We can do that right here in our own backyard as well. And this network of partners and properties doesn't just extend to the big parks like Yellowstone or the Grand Tetons, but also, let's say, up the coast of California to Santa Barbara or Monterey. And as of today, and of course, as we've all been mentioning, this is an ever-changing time, but as of today, most of the Western states have reopened almost entirely, if not in their entirety. And also as of today, the majority of the national parks and recreation areas in the Western states are also open, with a few exceptions, largely in California, where some of the parks and recreation areas remain partially opened or closed. But those are sort of changing on a weekly basis, it seems. So your advisor can certainly help you to navigate the most up-to-date details as to openings and whatnot. Another idea that for a road trip is up the coast of California to the wine country north of San Francisco. And up here, most in the Napa region, most of the tasting rooms and almost all of the properties, including most of the luxury properties here, have reopened with modified operations to ensure distancing and capacity guidelines are adhered to. Like everyone, we're just ready to get back to seeing the world, so they are just as eager to welcome you and welcome visitors to it. So road trips for many are just a long weekend adventure. Well, I've had other clients that are looking to spend sort of 2 weeks exploring some of the natural beauty in the West Coast. Yellowstone, for example, just announced a couple of weeks ago that they are going to be reopening some of their cabins within the park for the seasons, but not the lodges, which is great, but also presents some challenging news as there are not nearly as many cabins as there are rooms in the lodges. So this sort of brings me to another point that I just like to mention, which is we're not the only ones that are thinking about these types of trips. And in fact, many of the higher end properties in California, such as Post Ranch Inn in Big Sur or Rancho Valencia outside of San Diego, and even some of the more moderate ones, I would say the best of what's there, like the cabins in Yellowstone, are full or have extremely limited availability over the summer months and even moving into September. So if you have been noodling over a short getaway, I'd really encourage you to reach out to your advisor to start looking at availability, knowing that you're probably going to need to be pretty flexible with the dates in order to make it happen. And as Debbie mentioned earlier, I just wanted to also highlight that many of our supplier partners have relaxed many of their policies to allow for more flexibility when booking, which is both a great reassurance to us as your advisors, as well as to you as our travelers. None of us have a crystal ball to know exactly what the rest of 2020 is going to look like on the domestic front or on the international front. You know, we're trending in a great direction, but we don't want to jump too soon as well. But having this added level of reassurance from our supplier partners is certainly a very welcome feature, and has encouraged many clients, including my own family, to feel comfortable planning a trip for the fall. From a hotel standpoint, this might manifest as a shorter cancellation window. From a destination management company, it might be that their cancellation window is now shorter, maybe 14 or 30 days instead of their standard 60 to 90, as well as allowing for the transference of funds should anything change and guests not be able to travel due to the current pandemic. So there's a lot of movement happening, which is really a nice reassurance from the Western states as well. And we certainly, those staycations are certainly coming every which way for everybody. So yeah. Did we lose JMO?
We did, but that's all right. The show will go on. You know, that's great insight, Chris. You know, I'm going to go ahead and just fill in for JMO. And so now I'd like to take the chance to introduce Jennifer Dooling, one of our advisors based right here in our headquarters in Philadelphia. Jennifer, you've had, you know, extensive knowledge of the Caribbean and Mexico, and you really excel at planning travel for couples and families. You also really get into what we like to call multi-generational travel. And so that's looking at extended families, grandparents and parents and kids and grandkids and aunts and uncles and cousins. You know, so what are you seeing next year from your clients for this summer and the year beyond? Oh, you're going to need to unmute yourself. Sorry.
There we go. Sorry.
Great. Welcome.
There you go. Thank you, Josh. And thank you again for everyone joining us this evening. I'm going to change things up a little bit here. I'm going to take you on a virtual escape to the clear blue waters of the Caribbean and Mexico. So if you will, please close your eyes, take a deep breath, and imagine the feel of a cool breeze. Take in the rich floral smell of frangipani and hear the waves lap onto your own private beach. You now gaze at your loved ones frolicking in your private pool while relaxing on your veranda. Off in the distance is your chef preparing your lunch to be enjoyed in your gazebo overlooking the aquamarine sea. You then take a sip of your favorite cocktail or fruit juice and lay your head back and think how easy it was to have your travel advisor take care of all of the details to get you to this moment. Okay, I hope this was a nice break for you. While social distancing seems to be of most importance no matter what country you travel to, you may want to think about booking your own private villa to obtain this effortless privacy. Whether you are planning to celebrate a belated significant milestone with family or want to get away with your favorite friend group, a villa can be an excellent option. You will find villas offered on most Caribbean islands and Mexico, from beachfront in Turks and Caicos to the hills of St. Bart's to a hacienda in the Yucatan. And I'll just take a second to mention that Turks and Caicos is planning to open to international travelers on July 22nd. St. Bart's opening to tourists on June 22nd. The Bahamas will be opening on July 1st, and many states in Mexico are open, all with varying restrictions. So as mentioned before from our other advisors, restrictions and openings are changing weekly. However, we have access to all these details, so please feel free to reach out to your advisor to discuss your destination of choice. I would like to highlight the popularity of staying in a villa, especially over the festive season. We have been booking for this upcoming holiday and have found limited availability. We have also seen this reflected for the entire year of 2021. So if you are just contemplating experiencing a villa stay, please reach out to your advisor to discuss your options. A favorite trip of mine is to travel within Europe and create amazing itineraries for my clients. We know that for most people, touring in Europe has been put on hold due to travel restrictions or our own comfort level. When looking ahead, please know that there are many villas available throughout the European countries. And if a hotel is what you want, small boutique hotels are ready to welcome your special group in a property takeover. The most important takeaway is that if travel to Europe is on pause for this year, it will be back in full force for next. Right now, you may not be ready to travel, however, many are, which leads me to another popular way to travel with extended family. Our trusted tour partner, Talc, offers their specialty product of Talc bridges. I can tell you firsthand what a thrill it is to experience an exhilarating helicopter ride over the Grand Canyon, landing next to the Colorado River, enjoy a refreshment in the hot desert climate, and taking in the beautiful landscape. Envision sharing this type of experience with your children and grandchildren, or the memories they will have. While many of you have already experienced your first or 20th trip with Talc, you know that they book up well in advance, and that has not changed. Many of their experiences worldwide are close to selling out for 2021. So our familiarity, training, and relationships with our trusted partners will instill confidence that your advisor will guide you to our suppliers, which have relaxed, cancel, and change penalties. Thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm back.
Oh.
Sorry about that. Before we open to questions, I'd like to revert back to Debbie for one other burning question that we hear from so many clients. Debbie, we know that you have a passion for cruising, like so many on this call, I'm sure. What would you advise those who are asking about when it might make sense for them to return to the high seas? You're muted.
Unfortunately, the outlook for the near term is not that great. Most of the cruises have been suspended through October. There are a few localized cruises that are available on very small ships in Alaska and some things in the U.S. on the Mississippi, but that's for later in the fall. For now, people who want some sort of water-based vacation for the summer, they're looking at chartering yachts, sort of like a villa on land, on water rather, with lots of outdoor time, plenty of social distancing. And the good news is that you aren't just limited to the Caribbean anymore. Yachts are available to charter in Alaska, in the San Juan Islands, in the Channel Islands, and up along the Maine coast. So there are opportunities to get away and still be on the water. In terms of traditional cruising, I think I wanted to just take a quick look back at what's happened and what we're going to look to the future in 2021. You all know that the cruise industry was really dramatically impacted by COVID-19, not only because of the relatively few ships who actually had virus on board, but also because of the closing of the borders and the ports. We've spent a lot of time taking care of changing and keeping track of the options that our clients have had for refunds and future cruise credits. Most of us have elaborate spreadsheets that talk about, where any given client is in the process. The sheer volume of the cancellations and postponements was staggering. If you can imagine, they were dealing with workloads of about 100 times what they were used to having, and most of their employees were working from home. So I want to say a shout out and a thank you to all of our clients who were so patient during that. We understood you and shared your frustration, but we really appreciated your giving us the opportunity to work through the process. So what's going to happen in the future? My industry sources tell me that 3 things have to happen before we can start cruising again. 1, the borders have to open, ports have to open, airlift needs to be available, and we need to have a test for COVID-19 that is reliable and has instantaneous results so that it will be available to test guests before they get on board. So in the interim, while we're waiting for those things to happen, the ships are docked and the cruise lines are working on their health protocols as the hotels have been. Some things I do know that will be in the, that they're working on right now will be definitely mandatory testing prior to cruising, some sort of perhaps a form that you fill out beforehand as well, attesting to your health, stringent crew screening and ongoing testing while they're traveling, staggered embarkation and disembarkation. The jury's still out on how much mask wearing will be required. We do know that they will offer masks and that all employees will be wearing masks or plexiglass of some sort, but that will develop as things go along, because obviously we're talking at a point that's a little bit farther out than just right now. Certainly some closures and restrictions on board, like casinos and whirlpools and fitness centers, and the spa will have more limited availability, so you'll have more timed appointments than we've had in the past. Our resource packet that is coming to you after this presentation will cover, has a video in it from Ponant Cruises that's really quite excellent in having you understand how much is going into the sanitation and changes on board ships going forward. So anybody who loves to cruise, which includes me, will tell you that many people can't wait to get back on board, and there are beautiful new ships in the offing for the next year or so, including one that I'm looking forward to, which is the 100 passengers Silver Origin in the Galapagos. And there are lots of great saving opportunities. Excuse me, telephone. Smaller ships already offer wonderful space to passenger ratios, so social distancing is easier. In looking into 2021, we see that cruise bookings are up, and these bookings include many people who had future cruise credits from having their cruises canceled this year. So with millions of dollars of future cruise credits out there, I think we're going to see a busy 2021. So as everybody else has said, if you're thinking about doing something for 2021, you should be talking to your advisor now, because there are low deposits, $1,000 shipboard credits, and relaxed cancellation policies so that you can book out into next year. Crystal Cruises has two wonderful offers that I think people would be excited about, an additional 2.5% savings on cruises on top of already discounted fares. And they're offering a 7-night escape, seven night escapes in the Caribbean for as low as $1,400 per person, which is incredible for an all-inclusive luxury level cruise. So if you've been dreaming about going on vacation and reminiscing about that feeling of adventure and getting ready and wishing to get back out, please give us a call. Please look at next year's itineraries, get some good ideas about what you might like to do, and we'll be happy to talk to you about your plans for the next year. So I think we're just about finished up, and I wondered if we've got any questions from the chat.
Yes, so a few have come through, and I'll go quickly. I've been trying to reply to everyone one off, but when I lost my internet, I lost the questions. There was a great question about travel insurance and how that might change or what that means currently. Again, it will depend. I mean, one thing we're seeing is flexibility in terms and conditions almost across the board. So in terms of cancellation coverage, that's something your advisor can help you walk through. Medical coverage is another topic. Or what if you can't go because your temperature is taken at the airport and it's too high? Lots of travel insurance companies, depending on where you're going, what your risk is, what you need, lean on your advisor. Will help you navigate that and help you make the best decision. Another client was expressing, some medical questions like, well, these policies companies are implementing are great, but how will that protect me, or how will it protect me from what's going on if I'm asymptomatic or something like that? And again, we're not here to tell you it's safe to travel. No one can tell you if it's safe to travel. We are here to let you know, inform what people are doing, to let you know what factors you should consider to make the best decision for yourself. And we're going to be there. We're not going to push you to travel if you're not ready or we can't alleviate those concerns. Someone else has written in about river cruises. And again, I would lean on your advisor. Right now, Europe is, one giant question mark in terms of when that will open for Americans. Some are running for Europeans. And I'm looking at some other questions that have just come in.
Hey, Jamal, one of the things we can do is everybody, as these questions are coming in, Debbie had talked about the digital packet that we're going to be sending out. We're going to capture all of these questions and then give detailed answers for each of them in that packet, just for the interest of time. So we'll keep the chat open, so keep the questions coming. But I do know that we're at the top of the hour, and so I just want to be cognizant of everybody's time here, because these are really good questions. We want to make sure that they get answered and you all get responses. But not to sound like a broken record, but the answer that we had hoped would be is, this is why you utilize us. We're travel advisors, we're travel professionals, and reach out to the person that you are working with. And again, if you don't have somebody that you're working with, we'll be reaching out to you. We'll be sending information to you as to how you can start a relationship with one of our professional team. Sorry, Jim, keep going.
No, all good. I was just going to say the short answer really is ask your advisor, but we'll put all of that in the resource packet. One other question that did come in that I would just like to quickly ask everyone, because it's kind of fun and we can do it really quickly before we go to the prizes. This question goes out to every single panelist. If you could pick one place to visit as soon as possible right now, where would it be? Carissa, what would you say?
Scotland.
Charlotte?
East Africa.
Christina?
Ireland, followed by Italy.
Kaylee?
Africa as well.
All right. Jennifer?
Iceland.
Debbie?
Well, I have my eye on a cruise from Auckland to Bali.
Excellent. I'm an Africa guy as well. I would say Southern Africa. But as you can see, Europe's always top of mind for many of our advisors as well, not just our clients. Book early for 2021. Inventory is limited at some of the most desired hotels and room categories in areas where social distancing is possible, and in the exotic destinations like Africa. But the good news is, if you book early, we are seeing more flexibility, so you can usually book with confidence. Lean on your advisors. We're standing by to help. And with that, I'm going to kick it back over to our CEO, Josh Bush, to wrap things up and give away some exciting prizes.
Great, Jamal. Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for all the questions. We hope that you found the information shared today helpful and useful, and hopefully you've had a chance to imagine traveling again. Obviously, when you're ready, our team is here to follow up with you, and we'll be getting out information to you by the end of the week to provide, again, some resources, some sample itineraries, things to hold in your back pocket. We're going to answer the questions that you all had. But I think, as we start to talk about takeaways, the biggest takeaway is that the travel landscape is continuing to change, that, we are here to help you make an informed decision. Your travel should be an educated choice made by you and your family based on your own tolerance level. And that in some cases, that should be made in concert with a medical professional. So what we're here to do is really to help you answer the questions that you have, and that we're ready to help you book when you are ready to travel. Again, this evening was here to inspire and reimagine, and by no means do I want to make sure that are we advocating really anything unsafe. Another takeaway, though, and many of you had asked about this, is what can you do to help? First and foremost, I want to just say that there is no booking that is too small, and that we can't help with. Don't forget about us for small little weekend getaways and not just the large complicated trips. Remember, we've got a vast network of hoteliers and suppliers around the globe that can make even just a one-night stay really magical and special. Everybody who works with us is a VIP, but you can't VIP yourself. Allow us to do that for you and utilize our network to make sure that every stay is particularly special, even the short ones. Secondly, one of the other takeaways is that, we want to educate people about the value that we bring, and you can help us with that in a couple of different ways. First, we want to do more events like this. We have a whole panoply of products that you probably know very little about, that we want the opportunity to talk to you about. So one of the things is that we have an exclusive arrangement with American Express and a program called the Apex program. What it allows you to do is to pay for your entire trip or a portion of your trip with American Express membership rewards points. This goes on top of the additional benefits that you already have, whether it's the Virtuoso or the Avenue 2 amenities that we are able to get you, but it allows you to extend that trip and go a little bit further. We would love to do a smaller version of an event like this just on that program and how it would benefit you. Maybe you aren't ready to travel just yet, but you want to be that armchair traveler. And we have a fabulous program called Wanderlist that allows you to curate your bucket list. So imagine you, your family members, hey, even friends that you like to travel with have an online, let's call it a Netflix of travel, where you can look at 120 different destinations, over 100 different experiences, and curate those online. And then that enables us to have a dedicated report where we can sit there and truly advise you on how do you categorize that. Again, what is it open? Is it not open? What would that experience be like? We would love to spend an evening talking to you just about that. The other thing that we would definitely want to be able to do where we need some help is that we would like your help in spreading the word about us and the value we bring on our social media channels. So please follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook. We've got a dedicated YouTube channel where we've got a lot of content coming out soon. We're going to be putting out a new show called Advisor Access in the coming weeks, where we've got one-on-one advisors talking with Carissa, who you've already met this evening, and she's talking to advisors about trips that they've taken. They're going to be absolutely fantastic. So check out that. So subscribe and like on the YouTube channel. And then obviously for that instant wanting to be inspired, Instagram is a great way of following us and hanging out with us and being with Avenue 2 at that point in time. So again, all right, so if those takeaways are not enough for you, then let's talk about the real takeaways of the evening, which are going to be our prize drawings. And so let me get my screen off here. And Brooke, can you help me with the prize drawing? You have drawn a handful of people randomly, I believe, at this point. So our first gift, you heard Christina talk earlier about Divine Cycling and Adventure Company. They have generously donated a $500 gift certificate for one guest toward any of their scheduled departures for France or for Italy. And this gift certificate is going to be sent to you from your travel advisor, along with a review of the restrictions and how you're going to be able to redeem and be able to plan your trip. And so, Brooke, who is our winner number one?
So I believe you're going to choose a number between 1 and 100
Okay, all right. I thought that we had that random number generator earlier, and I think that the first one, going back to that, the first number is 122. Who's guessed 122? There's almost 200 people on the call today, which is fantastic. It's starting to dwindle a little bit. I know that we're going over late.
It's Carolyn Bouchard, and your advisor is Christina O'Toole.
Oh wow, look at that. How is that for karma? Perfect. All right, number two. Let's get through these fast. Little Nell in Aspen, the legendary Little Nell. An exquisite 5-star service, access to some of the most one of the most famous mountain towns. Is generously complimented 2-night stay in one of their townside guest rooms. The gift certificate, again, it's going to be sent to you by your travel advisor. I don't know, you might want to figure out when Kaylee's going to be in town. She could be your own kind of personal guide there. Who's winner number 23?
23 is, I apologize if I pronounce your name incorrectly, Penina Verdugo. Your advisor is Patty Levering.
All right, congratulations. Patty's going to be reaching out to you. Wonderful, great. All right, so our next prize, and we've got just a few more of these, so please bear with me. Waldorf Astoria Park City. You know, I was actually there 7 years ago to the day. Absolute beautiful hotel, largest ski and golf resort in the United States. Waldorf Astoria Park City, you know, has donated a complimentary stay in one of their King Junior Suites, excuse me. And so again, that's going to be valid through travel of July of next year. And so winner number 57, passenger 57.
5757 is Jeannie Hendrickson. Your advisor is Charlotte French.
Oh, congratulations, Jeannie. Now, I promise, you know, it's not, we have other advisors, and they aren't just, the winners aren't just going to be the panelists, but number 4 was a great gift from our friend Tom Palaio at Mandarin Oriental. You know, their award-winning, you know, some of their world's most luxurious hotels, resorts, and residences. They've provided a gift certificate of $200. It can be used at any one of their properties worldwide. And let's see, it is winner number 45. Who's guest number 45 tonight?
45?
Yeah, 45.
45 is Samuel Gunderson. Your advisor is Stephanie Wilson.
Oh, great, wonderful. Thank you. Congratulations, Samuel. All right, last prize of the evening, and then we'll let you all go, because I know that we're probably, hopefully you're drinking on the call. I would imagine that you wouldn't wait for cocktails just for this. But number 5 is a fabulous walking tour by Exeter International, you know, one of the leading companies for Europe and in Eastern Europe. And so they have generally offered and donated this private 3-hour walking tour in any of their destinations on your next trip to any of their regions. So that includes Eastern Europe, Russia, Germany, you know, lots of different places. And the winner is number 96. Who's 96 tonight, Brooke?
96 is Kathy Lipschutz. Your advisor is Debbie Bush. Congratulations.
Oh, great. Wonderful. Congratulations, Kathy. Debbie's going to be reaching out to you. So congratulations to all the winners. Everybody, thank you so very much for being on our event tonight. You know, you're all winners in my book, and thank you for reimagining travel with us. As I said, we're going to be sending out this resource packet to you, so you've got it in your back pocket for when you're ready to travel on your next trip. But we truly thank you for being here today and the support of us and helping us weather this most difficult time. We hope that, you know, just a little bit of time today that you might be able to imagine and think about breaking out of the 4 walls that you've been captive in for so long, and that you might have found one place to add to your personal bucket list. And oh, by the way, we have a tool for that when you're ready. So we were going to do a poll, but in the interest of time, you know, we're going to skip that. We might send some questions out to you in a survey afterward. We would greatly appreciate you filling that out, that information. That's really important to us. But thanks so much for you all being here. Thank you much to our panelists and to everybody at Avenue 2. Have a great evening.
Thank you.